If you asked any Avatar fan to describe Azula in one word, they'd probably say psychopath. And honestly, the show does everything it can to make us believe that's exactly what she is. She smiles when people suffer, manipulates everyone around her, conquers entire cities, and by the finale, she's talking to her own reflection. Case closed, right? But calling Azula a psychopath is also the easiest way to avoid thinking about her story altogether. Because then her entire character can be summed up in one sentence. She was born a monster, grew up a monster, and lost. The end. Except that's not how Avatar writes its characters. The writers have never been interested in one-dimensional villains, and that's exactly why Azula's ending always felt so strange to me. On paper, this should be the moment we're cheering for. The main villain is finally defeated, but instead, we're watching a teenage girl collapse onto the floor, sobbing as her entire world falls apart. It doesn't feel like good defeating evil. It feels like a tragedy. We watched Azula completely unravel. We know she did terrible things. We know we probably shouldn't feel sorry for her. And yet, somehow, we do. Because Azula's real problem was never that she went insane. Her real problem is that Ozai got exactly what he wanted. People always say Ozai broke both of his children, and that's true, but he broke them in completely different ways. Zuko was broken through pain. He was humiliated, punished, rejected, and eventually cast out. Azula's fate was far worse. Ozai never tried to raise a happy daughter. He tried to create the perfect heir. Actually, not even an heir, a weapon. Just look at Azula through Ozai's eyes. She never hesitates, never questions orders. She has no mercy, no compassion. She's smarter than most of his generals, more manipulative than his best spies, and more dangerous than almost any firebender alive. Forget for a second that she's only 14. What you're looking at is the perfect soldier. And that's where Azula's real tragedy begins. Because a weapon doesn't need to be happy, it just needs to work. And throughout almost the entire series, Azula does exactly that. She works, almost perfectly, until, for the very first time in her life, she stops being useful.
Right. I think your friend just said that, genius. And since you can't see, I should tell you I'm rolling my eyes.
Most of us grew up believing one simple thing. Ozai hated Zuko and loved Azula. Zuko gets half his face burned, is banished from home, and spends years desperately trying to earn his father's approval. Azula gets the important missions, the army's respect, her father's trust, and constant praise. So, obviously, she's the favorite child, right? But here's the question. When did Ozai ever actually love Azula? Not admire her? Not praise her? Love her. Can you name a single scene where Ozai values Azula simply because she's his daughter? And that's where things get uncomfortable. Because that scene doesn't exist. Not once. We always say Ozai was a terrible father. But I think the problem goes even deeper. He was never really a father at all. A father raises a person. Ozai raised a function. Think about it. What kind of child would the most ruthless ruler in the world want? Someone kind, curious, compassionate? Of course not. He wanted someone who never questioned him and carried out every order without hesitation. Someone who saw compassion as weakness and victory as the only acceptable outcome. And the terrifying part is, he succeeded. We usually see Ozai as a mad tyrant who ruined his children. But if you ignore the morality for just a second, as an architect of human behavior, he was horrifyingly effective. Azula thinks several moves ahead, manipulates everyone around her, outsmarts the Dai Li, conquers Ba Sing Se, and does it all with the calm confidence of someone solving a simple math problem. People call that genius, and they're right. She is a genius. But there's one problem. Azula isn't a machine. She's still human. And there's a massive difference between hearing, "I love you," and hearing, "You did exactly what I wanted." I think Azula spent her entire life confusing those two things. Every time she was ruthless, Ozai was pleased. Every time she proved she was stronger than everyone else, she received what she believed was love. But it wasn't love. It was a performance review. And maybe that's the most tragic part of Azula's story. It's not that Ozai turned his own daughter into a weapon. It's that Azula spent her entire life believing that if she became just a little stronger, just a little more perfect, then one day, she'd finally earn a love she was never truly given in the first place.
I must find the Avatar to restore my honor.
It's okay. You can laugh. It's funny.
Let's talk about the episode every great series eventually has. Yep, the beach episode. After all the wars, betrayals, assassinations, and political chaos, the writers suddenly send everyone on vacation. They hang out at the beach, play volleyball, flirt, relax, and, for once, act like normal teenagers. At first, it feels like nothing more than a breather before the finale, but this is actually one of the most important episodes for understanding Azula. For the first time in the entire series, she's placed in a situation where she doesn't have to prove she's better than everyone else. She just has to be a normal 14-year-old girl, and that's exactly where everything falls apart. Look at everyone else. Zuko acts like an awkward teenage. Mai is bored by absolutely everything. Ty Lee gets excited over the smallest things. They're awkward, funny, sometimes even embarrassing. In other words, they feel like real teenagers. Azula doesn't. Even a casual game of volleyball turns into the world championship in her mind. For everyone else, losing is something to laugh about. For Azula, losing feels like a personal failure. And the most revealing part is that she never even tries to have fun. She genuinely doesn't understand why anyone would do something if they aren't trying to be the best at it. There was also another scene. Remember when Azula tries to flirt with that guy? The girl who conquered Ba Sing Se and psychologically outplayed some of the smartest people in the world suddenly can't hold a normal conversation. She treats flirting like a military negotiation. At first, it's hilarious, but then a much sadder question hits you. When was she ever supposed to learn how to do this? Who was supposed to teach her that people can connect without trying to gain something? That friendship isn't just another way to control someone, and the longer you watch Azula in this episode, the more you realize that beneath all that confidence is just a child who has absolutely no idea how to exist in a world where she doesn't have to prove herself every single day.
Together, you and I will be the strongest couple in the entire world. We will dominate the Earth!
If the first half of Azula's story is about Ozai creating the perfect weapon, then this is where the story changes. Because from this point on, we're watching that weapon slowly begin to break. And the interesting part is, it doesn't happen during her final battle with Zuko. Azula's real downfall begins much earlier, at the Boiling Rock. There's one line that most people remember as just a great piece of dialogue.
You miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you.
That isn't just one of the best lines in Avatar. It's one of the most devastating. Because this isn't just betrayal. It's the moment Azula's entire worldview shatters. For her whole life, she never had to persuade people. She never negotiated. She never asked. She intimidated, manipulated, and controlled them. And the terrifying part is, it always worked. Ty Lee obeyed because she was afraid. Mai obeyed because she was afraid. The Dai Li obeyed because they were afraid. Even Zuko spent most of his life terrified of her. Little by little, Azula came to believe that fear was the universal language, that fear could solve every problem. And up until this moment, the show actually proves her right. She's almost never wrong about people. So imagine what happens inside her head when Mai says one simple sentence. To us, it's romantic. To Azula, it's a complete collapse of everything she's ever believed. Because in her world, love was never supposed to be stronger than fear. That's why for the first time, she looks genuinely angry and confused. And then comes the second blow. Ty Lee chooses Mai over her. Most people say this is the first time Azula experiences betrayal. I think it's even worse than that. It's the first time she realizes you can't control people with fear forever. The philosophy her entire life was built on falls apart in a matter of minutes. If Azula was once the perfect weapon, this is the moment the first real crack appears. Because she discovers there's one force Ozai could never teach her to understand. It wasn't power or fear, it was love. And honestly, I think this is the battle Azula truly loses. Not against her enemies. She loses to one simple idea. Sometimes love is stronger than fear. Everything that happens after this, the paranoia, the hallucinations, the mirror, the complete mental collapse, isn't the cause of her downfall. It's the consequence of watching her entire worldview crumble right in front of her. When Ozai declares himself Phoenix King and crowns Azula the new Fire Lord, it looks like the happiest day of her life. Seriously, This girl spent her entire existence chasing her father's approval. And finally, she gets the ultimate prize in the Empire. Dream come true, right? But in reality, this is one of the cruelest scenes in the entire show. Because Ozai isn't rewarding Azula here. He's getting rid of her. Her whole life, she believed that if she just met his impossible standards, he would always keep her by his side. But when the most pivotal moment in Fire Nation history arrives, he leaves without her. He leaves her behind in the capital. He's basically saying, thanks, I'll take it from here. And that's when it hits us. Ozai never changed how he treated Azula. He didn't betray her at the end. He treated her exactly how he always treated her. She just never noticed it before. A tool only has value as long as it's useful. And when the job is done, the tool goes back in the toolbox. And maybe, just maybe, this is the exact moment Azula realizes she's been running in the wrong direction her whole life. She thought she was getting closer to being loved. But in reality, she was just becoming more useful, not more loved. Zuko grew up thinking, I'm not good enough. Azula grew up thinking, I only matter if I'm perfect. Zuko got lucky. He had Uncle Iroh, someone who finally showed him that love isn't something you have to earn. That power without compassion is absolutely worthless. Azula never had that person. Her whole life, the only one standing next to her was Ozai, a man completely incapable of love. And that's exactly why Azula's final breakdown is so hard to watch. Everyone thought Azula was the strongest character in Avatar, but underneath it all, she was the most fragile, because she didn't build her life on love. She built it on fear, and fear, unlike love, eventually runs out. If this video made you see Azula a little differently, hitting that like button and subscribing really helps the channel out. Let me know your thoughts on her ending in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.